Okay, by my clock, it's 6:59. I'll give it a couple, another minute, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hope everybody can hear this. Hopefully the audio and visual is working well. Okay. All right, by my clock, it's 7 o'clock, 1900. If we're on 24-hour time, it's the 29th of November, 2022, Tuesday, which means we're doing a Zoom session for Management 311. This is your Fundamentals of Management course. We started on 17 October 2022. We're going to end this on the 11th of December 2022, which is not that far away. We're just wrapping up week 6, and then we're in week 7 now, aren't we? It's hard to believe. Okay, time flies. For me, anyway. I don't know for some of you with this course. Okay, so what I want to do here is open it up for any questions. Really, right now there's nobody participating, so that's going to be hard. So let me kind of think through what it is I want to accomplish. I've got a couple ideas, so we'll try those. The first thing that I want to do is make sure everybody understands that there is a ask for help forum right here. You can click on it, and it takes you to a new page. Nobody's used it, although a lot of you have asked for help. The forum is for routine and non-emergency assistance. Okay. If there is a more urgent nature, meaning you need an answer within a day, then let's email me. And there is my address. I ask that you give me up to 24 hours to respond to you on email. Normally, I respond within a couple hours, depending on what time you send the email and what day it is. All right, I don't live on this email. I am again, adjunct instructor, which means I'm part-time. Okay, I have a full-time job, and I have a life like you all do. So just be patient with me in this regard. I'm asking. If it is an emergency, okay, or very urgent, then I've given you here my text and cell phone number of 910-545 and 6522 finishes it out. I could ask that you limit that to emergency or very urgent matters, not just the normal. And if that's of an urgent nature, then give me at least a couple hours to respond. Again, I normally have the phone with me, but I may not always be immediately available. As an example, today, somebody was trying to contact me when I was in the middle of a Zoom session, not a Zoom session, but a Teams session with my regular work. Okay. But bottom line here is I'm not trying to say I'm not available. I am available. Just, kind of gauge it by the matter, and then just give some reasonable time. Okay. Coming out of that, some of you ask about a grade that you get, and that is perfectly legitimate. That is feedback in and of itself. If you are looking for more than the grade, I provide feedback on everything you submit. I even put some feedback in the quizzes. That is normally in the form of, if you get the answer wrong, I provide you the page number out of the text from where the question was taken. In the case of your online form and participation, you'll note that I normally will post a response to your Wednesday night post on a Thursday. Okay, I was a day late this week because I didn't do it for Thanksgiving. And then, as you can see, my name and photo will pop up there as a last post. Okay, if somebody posts behind me, then obviously their name, excuse me, please, I apologize for yawning. It's been a long day. Their name will show up as in case here, okay, with these next three. All right, but in there, I will provide you some things I want you to consider. Okay, but in and of itself, I do read your posts. I read all the posts. I will provide you this type of feedback, and then have you or ask you to look at the feedback that I provide, the insights, and then hey, we're going to let Melissa in. Melissa, good to see you. I'm going to ask that you hold on just a second as I finish up a thought here. Anyway, so for what I'm looking at is some particular aspects on each question. And what I will do in the feedback that I provide on the discussion forum is ask you to take a look at what you provided, what you submitted, and then read what I have provided you. And then go in and see if you can answer your own question. Okay. This is not maybe the optimum way to do it, but when I've got about 30 of you, this is gets to be a little bit onerous here to dive deep into each and every one of you. I'm willing to do that, and for some of you, I do that. But what I'm going to ask is that you take a look at the feedback I provide beyond the grade, which is the text, and then see if you can resolve what happened. In some cases, it's fairly simple. Just had a recent case here where it was on your weekend homework. I say weekend homework on the homework case study. In this case, you were to do an experiential exercise, 12.1, 5 sources of power, and then a concluding case. And this was kind of a fun week, I thought, because here you were given a number of scenarios which were interesting, and then do some analysis on those scenarios. Anyway, so normally I will look at what you posted, and you normally will post those or should post those by Saturday night each week. I usually will look at those on Sunday and read through them and then provide a grade. Now, some of you will find that grade and then instantly contact me, um, and then tell me that there was no feedback. So I'm assuming you're probably finding the grade somewhere else. I'm not exactly sure what you see, but if you go into the Turnitin for that week, and um, I'll just pull up somebody just for the sake of it. Um, you'll see a whole list of names here, but for each of you, if I click on the pencil for grade as an example, it will prop up. It will. Maybe it won't tonight. Admission. And then over here on the right-hand side are just a list of icons. Okay. Layers, blue, and then what I call red. Okay. To return it in, make sure you take a look at this. If you go onto the blue, this icon that has the pad and pencil on it, you'll see it pops up. And it may be tough to see on my screen, but the banner that pops says feedback summary. Clicking on that will provide you a grade in the upper right-hand corner, and then you'll see the text comment. This is the feedback. Okay. All right. So If you are looking elsewhere, and again, I'll ask somebody to help me out, this is where you would go to find the feedback. If you're not seeing that and you cannot access that, then you need to let me know, okay? Because it does me no good to leave you feedback if you're not reading it, if you cannot read it. If you're choosing not to read it, that's a different story, okay? So with that, Melissa, good to see you. Did you have something special?
No, I mean, I'm just listening, and I just, whenever you have a chance, I would just wanted to see if you can maybe just go over chapter 13, question 2.
All right, well, let's do that now.
Okay.
Chapter 13, this is for this week, right?
Yes, the discussion board.
Okay, explain the conflict management strategies. Okay.
Oh, no, the chapter 13.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, explain 2 of the hierarchies theories under understanding people's needs. Okay.
Now I found,
I'm sorry.
I don't know if I'm right or not, but there's 3 of them, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So we're needing to explain any 2 of them.
That's correct.
Okay.
You overthought us again.
I did.
But I like it. You're right. I could see how there's a curveball. Again, and remember, you have a bunch of different theories here. You've got your needs theories, which includes Maslow's and Herzberg's.
Right.
And then you also have other theories of motivation. Okay.
Right.
So, that's of course what this whole chapter is about, right?
Right.
In fact, we titled chapter 13, and we title it motivation.
Yes.
Yeah, motivating for performance. So what's really cool about this chapter, and one of the reasons why I really enjoy it, is it gives you the basis of some very unique and I would say usable hierarchies and or theories and in your quest to motivate people. Again, remember, we say leadership is a contingency, meaning we base what we do on the situation that is at hand. Just as you would want to use the right tool for the job, you would want to use the right leadership approach to the situation.
Right.
It doesn't help to only use one tool. I use the example of, in this particular case, the United States Marine Corps. We tend to think that a democratic style of leadership is a good one, and it generally is. One might call it participative, okay? But imagine how ineffective that would be at an entry-level boot camp at recruit training if the drill instructor is asking 70 recruits whether or not they want to get their heads shaved and get up at 4:30 in the morning and start the day with some calisthenics. Okay, I suspect if the drill instructor asked and had participative leadership going on at the time, and let them try to decide what their schedule will be and when they think they'll accomplish the task, chaos would ensue. So therefore, we know that a more direct, more dictatorial leadership approach tends to work best. Imagine the chaos that would ensue if a first responder tried to talk to you sweetly about getting out of a burning house instead of forcibly removing you or yelling at you to get out. I think I would want the latter. the alternative to that is, imagine that same drill instructor now back at his or her normal occupation. For example, say they are an aircraft maintenance chief, um, trying to be dictatorial and run their shop filled with non-commissioned officers of varying years of experience, the way he did or she did with a recruit. Again, it would not be effective. So again, using the right tool at the right situation. And so therefore, you want to have a very complete toolkit. You want a lot of tools, and in many cases, some precision tools to use. I'm a former tanker by trade. That's what I did in the Marine Corps. We think a sledgehammer is a precision instrument. Uh, Sometimes it takes a very delicate approach, but just look at some of your hierarchies and theories here for motivation. Maslow says, in essence, uh, if you can't breathe, or if you are dying of thirst, my coming in and giving you a pat on the back and reinforcing your behavior with a compliment probably isn't going to mean much to you. Probably what will motivate you more is if I give you some water to drink or some air to breathe, right? And that's obviously using some absurdity to point out what is a simple model, and yet he hits on it. And the in the latter years of Maslow's life, he developed a a much higher peak, if you will, to his pyramid beyond self-actualization, which was ascendancy, essentially. And he said few people will achieve that. Um, those that do are the Mahatma Gandhis, the Sister Teresas, the Billy Grahams, those of that ilk that attain such a high level that it's almost off the charts, but we see them nonetheless. Herzberg says, in essence, there are certain things that you've got to take care of first that are demotivating your people before you're going to be able to motivate them. And be careful at the tool in which you use to motivate. As an example, in two-factor theory, if I'm the type of person that what I really need right now is time off so I can attend to a sick family member or a elderly parent, and you're coming in having me work extra hours, but promising more pay, is probably not going to motivate me because that's not what I need right now. Working some extra hours with the promise of more time off or some type of care for the elderly or for the sick family member might be a better tool. And I'm not trying to say this in a crass manner. This isn't about not understanding what people's dilemmas are. Quite frankly, it's the opposite. It is understanding what is important in their lives, and then addressing those either needs or wants. Some of those other theories are pretty good. The equity theory certainly plays a role. I've had to use that even here in this class where somebody did not think it fair that they were had to get their work in on time, which they did, and somebody else did not have to get it in on time and yet got the same grade. I won't go into the details of that, nor what I did, but let me suffice it to say that I will sit and explain any aspect of it. But they certainly had a concern, which is, hey, we're all busy, we all have things to do. Why would somebody get the same grade even though they got extra time, and by not getting their work in on time than I did when I was just as busy and I had pies to cook and turkey to baste and yeah, and
Mhm.
the like. And it's a good point. And this again gets into, simple equity matters. There's a reason why in many corporations you will not know what your coworker receives in salary.
Mhm.
In large measure, it's not because we're trying to screw people over, but it's an issue of looking out because it opens up all issues as it relates to what is considered fair.
Mm.
Um, and then we see this in everyday life, and something that I want each of you to approach and be careful of and cognizant of. There's oftentimes that we gripe and say that we're not getting paid fairly, or that somebody is getting more than us, or the like. And I would just caution, be careful on that because you don't know the whole situation. And it may turn out that you're getting paid better than the other person. And you're now causing some attention focused on you. The, in many cases, the simple approach is, as an example, if one thinks an NFL quarterback gets paid too much, I would argue with you that don't begrudge somebody getting their their compensation. They've worked for it. Whether we think it's fair and equitable, whether a teacher or a first responder should be paid more than an NFL quarterback, we could certainly have that conversation. But in the long and short, um, it's not necessarily a good position to be in to having to, balance on the scales of justice what somebody else is getting, unless you are in a power to affect that. And it's the same way. If I don't think Kirk Cousins, quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, should be paid 75 million over a course of a contract, then I shouldn't provide money to Minnesota Vikings to pay that. So
Mm.
I don't, and so I don't. Anyway, long and short, um, yeah, all you need to do here to answer your question on that, Melissa, is um, pull out a couple
Mhm.
and uh, and go from there.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
then what do we got for chapter 14? Oh, I like this. Okay, so we're into teamwork, right?
Yep.
So, uh, how do groups become real teams? This is really good stuff. This is where we're talking about situations where you see a a team, and not just a name, but a real team appear, and it's really quite interesting dynamic. Um, on a personal note, I'm a Florida State University football fan. I attended Florida State for a time. Just so you get an insight into me, I did so well in my freshman and part of my sophomore year that I left and I enlisted in the Marine Corps. I was
Mm.
not in the right place at the right time, or conversely, maybe I was, but I certainly wasn't going to graduate. Um, there were too many distractions for me.
Right.
Um, so I never graduated from the institution. I went to a different one later and got my degrees. But when I look at the past 5 years for that school's football team, Florida State University, what was normally a very high functioning team, three national championships over the last 30 years or so, you it it fell apart. And then for the last 5 years, they have not done well by any measure. They've done well this year, which is fun to see. Now, there was always a team there, but you could see the difference between what I would call a team, in other words, one that is performing at a high level, and one that is just a name only. Um, and you see that performance. And so, from a organizational development perspective, it's just fascinating to me to see how a man or woman goes in and is able to get a group into a team to function at a high level. Mike Norvell, the current head coach for Florida State, has certainly done that, bringing his boys to a 9-3 record and a bowl game. And it's the difference between that team of this year and watching them play and what was a group of individuals, sort of a team 2 years ago, is just well, it's just night and day. Remarkable, quite frankly. All right. So she walked away here. That's fine. Let me go in and make sure, just in our few moments left, that we have a clear understanding of their work. So you didn't miss anything, Melissa. What I'm doing is I'm taking you to the rubric and making sure we understand what we're looking for in the paper.
Yes.
So this is layout. Okay, gives you obviously the minimums, right, of what is required.
I have it pulled out too. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Let me ask you, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
And does that have the rubric on it?
Yes, it does.
Great. Okay. So let me zoom that in maybe. There we go. All right. So to read this, again, your paper is worth 25 points. All right.
Mhm.
Content is worth 15 points. Organization and structure is worth 5 points. Style and grammar is worth 5 points. Okay. So if you give me a paper that has a lot of punctuation errors, grammatical problems, misspelled words, poor rhetoric, use of jargon, etc., then you will see some points taken. In the same as organization structure, we talked about the idea of a thesis, again, position statement, what you use to support that, the transitions of your paragraphs, how you structured the paper, whether you've used paragraph headers as an example to help in the structure of your paper. All those fall over here, okay? All right, the real meat. Okay, there must be an introduction and a concluding paragraph in your paper.
Mhm.
Then, and again, I recommend take each of these 7 and make each of these a paragraph header. Paragraph 1, introduction. Paragraph 2, history of blank, whatever you've chosen as your subject matter of your paper. If you've taken the subject matter of, say, motivation based on chapter 13, then history of motivational theories is certainly a possible. Okay, paragraph 3, concept evolution. 4, guiding principles, theories of. Say you decided to write about Maslow's hierarchy needs, then you would say guiding principles, theories of Maslow's hierarchy needs. The paragraph 5, what's the value of it? Okay. This is where you're going to, can be some of you in there. Okay. Next one, strengths and weaknesses of the theories. So what is a weakness, say, of Maslow's hierarchy needs? Okay. And then paragraph 7 would be, how is that subject matter, whatever you've chosen, utilized in companies today? So if you've chosen motivation as your subject matter, then an example of where you've seen motivation used in a company, pick one out at random if you want. So you might say, we just seen Wells Fargo do something. Okay. They've obviously been in the news a few years ago
Mm.
with some aspects that are very demotivational,
Mhm.
and particularly for their workforce. So, what is something they've done more recently? And in that case, instead of more pay or better work hours, it may just be we've fixed the ethical problem in our organization, and
Mhm.
that has motivated our employees. I know for me, that would be a source of motivation if I was fearful of my organization's ethical lapses. Um, to see them fix it would cause me perhaps to stay with the company.
Right.
Uh, Warren Buffett is famous for saying that in Berkshire Hathaway, he would tell his new joins that if you cause this company to lose money, uh, I will not I will not take that lightly. But if you cause this company to lose reputation and integrity, I will be ruthless.
Mm.
So, just a very succinct way of saying that although I am fairly tolerant of mistakes, and there's a limit to that, I certainly will not be tolerant to ethical lapses, particularly those of a deliberate nature. Anyway, and then finally, yeah, okay, well, how do you think you would use whatever again your subject matter is, motivation in the case we're talking right now? How would you use motivation in your workplace today or in the future? So, yeah, that's just broad and open because some of you are in a career or occupation that you want to stay in. So I would ask in your workplace today. Some of you are taking these courses with a view to a different change. Uh, some are getting out of the military. Some are, transitioning back into the workforce. Whatever. So, how would you anticipate using the concept in the future of, and it's just pick what, someday I want to go work for, you know, this company, or I want to run my own business. Okay, well, then take that and speculate. How would you use what you've learned on this subject of motivation as the example in that situation?
Mm.
And then conclude. Okay, bring this paper to an end. Okay, remember your concluding paragraph is your last opportunity to hit the reader between the eyes and have their attention. So it should be a succinct summation of what you've talked about. Okay. In this paper, I have covered dot, 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 dot. Okay. And, but end on a high note and don't neglect the concluding paragraph. If you are introducing a new concept in your concluding paragraph, I caution you because again, the concluding paragraph is to wrap up what you've discussed, not introduce a new issue. Okay,
Mm.
so just be cognizant of that. Okay. Anyway, does that help in any way?
No, I mean, it sounds good to me.
Okay, I'm sure you're fine on it. I appreciate your patience on it,
Mm.
and let me close this out and get back to. There we go. Okay, so all right, so Zoom is telling me we've got 10 minutes left.
Mm.
So just so you're cognizant of this, there has been a little bit of a change. It will be seamless to most of you. In fact, probably to all of you. The University of Mount Olive School of Business has taken some steps to um, ensure the integrity of our testing. It is predominantly more on the traditional seated side. but there was some bleed over into the online. Most of what the Tillman School of Business requires now for exams on the online side, we have already been doing. For example, you'll notice that well, for some of my quizzes, not all of them, this one upcoming I'll have to probably do, but I would normally put 2 questions per page on your exam. I think maybe the last one I probably did that. I might have put 5.
Mhm.
Anyway, so it will be 2 questions per page on the exam. Your exams will continue to be timed. Some of the feedback settings will be changed. Again, there shouldn't be any major impact. Most of you are doing fine on the exams. A couple of you have had issues in the past, but we've discussed those, whether those were timing or your system locked up or things of that nature. Again, just so you're aware that I don't time these exams necessarily just because I think it's fun to screw with the student. It is because it's a requirement. Although screwing with a student sometimes is fun. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, well, look, then let's wrap it up. And if you don't have any questions, I appreciate you joining, Melissa.
Thank you.
Always good to see you.
No, thank you for answering my question.
Yeah, albeit through airwaves. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving, and like I said, we're already week 7. That's hard to believe.
I know.
Time
So
is.
I'm looking forward to the break though. So
I have no doubt. Well,
it's been a long year.
Just remember what I tell people. If it was easy, anybody could do it. Okay. It is not easy. And I
No.
fully understand. Okay. Family life, full-time job.
Yep.
I was, and then when I was taking my master's, I also was teaching at the same time. So tried to go from student mode to teacher mode and then back to student mode, in between work mode and family life mode. I was not necessarily a happy camper, but
Yeah,
the rewards are there. You
I
just
hope so.
they're there. You have some, well, let me say it this way: if you don't have some intrinsic rewards for what you're doing, then yes, it is going to be tough. But that sense of accomplishment, that sense of purpose,
Mhm.
that ability to go in and take pleasure in resolving whatever the instructor has handed and turning it around, and then, quite frankly, the intrinsic reward of learning
Mhm.
is just, I think, so powerful. And then and be cognizant of what others are seeing in you. It is very rare that a family member or a child um, does not notice what the parent is doing and what they are accomplishing, and has the maturity to put it all together as hey, my mom is doing this and I'm very proud of her. And if she can do it, then I know someday I need to do it. So
That is like probably about more than half the reason why I went back was for my kids, because
good.
here I'm pushing them, telling them they need to go to college when they're done. But I'm like, and here I haven't finished myself. So I'm like, well, who better role model than your parents, So
Very
I think if
good.
I can at least get this done before my older one, he'll just be in high school. So
Mighty
and
fine.
yeah, he tells me I said, if I can do this and work and take care of all you guys can do good in school. And he said, it's different because I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I said, and you have no clue.
Well, I guess that's true. It's hard to argue that, but it goes a little deeper though. Okay, well, you you're in the right place. That's good to see. All right. Well, listen, you take good care of yourself
You too.
and have a good night. I can't wait to see what you have to write tomorrow.
Let's see. Hopefully it'll be good.
Well, hopefully. I don't want to read crap.
I know, right?
I'm
I better
I'm
get to it then.
I'm kidding. Just for those who are viewing this, don't say Russ Jamison thinks students turning crap. Although, yeah. Anyway, have a good night.
Have a good night.